Today, you can find out about the many advantages of summer camps and reading programs for youth, and even how you can get your kids involved. Then we'll fill you in on just some of the many services offered by Volusia County's public transportation service, otherwise known as Votran. And finally, you'll get a glimpse into some of the services provided by Volusia's Emergency Operations Center before, during, and after major disasters. Those stories and more coming right up on Volusia Magazine. I'm Amber Patterson. Stay tuned. Now that we're into the month of June, we are officially into hurricane season. Hurricane preparedness should be on everyone's mind, including flood insurance. It's not too late to get. You should think about getting flood insurance today. Who needs flood insurance? Well, everyone. Anywhere it rains, it can flood. And you don't have to live near water to be at risk for flooding. All it takes is a few inches of water to cause major damage to your home and its contents. Pat White is the Volusia Prepares Coordinator with Volusia County's Emergency Management Division.
If you live in Florida, it can flood. A lot of people that live in Florida on the western side of the county seem to think that they live in a high area and that it can never flood at their home, but it can. It was proven during Tropical Storm Faye over in the DBIA area. They were in a high area and it would never flood, but it was proven that it can flood under the right circumstances. So everyone needs to have flood insurance if you live in Florida. Your regular homeowner's insurance will not cover rising water.
Flood insurance is available through the National Flood Insurance Program, NFIP, for homes, condominiums, apartments, and commercial structures. According to the National Flood Insurance Program, flooding is the #1 most common natural disaster in the United States. There is a 26% chance of experiencing a flood during the life of a 30-year mortgage in high-risk flood areas.
Don't wait until it's too late. There's a 30-day waiting period when you purchase flood insurance for it to come into effect. You cannot get flood insurance if we have a named storm impacting our coastline.
Also, if a hurricane is within 500 miles of Florida, flood insurance policies will not be written. If you want to determine your risk for flooding, you can go to floodsmart.gov. You can type in your address and learn if your flood risk is low, moderate, or high. For more information about the National Flood Insurance Program, you can contact your insurance agent or you can just visit floodsmart.gov. Research shows that school children can lose up to 3 months of learning over the summer vacation. But it doesn't happen to every child. Children who attend summer camps and library programs have an advantage. To help prevent this summer brain drain, the Volusia County Public Library System is sponsoring a wide variety of educational and entertainment programs for children and for teens. All 13 library branches are offering reading programs in which children and teens record the books they've read during the summer. For each book they read, their name is entered into a prize drawing at the end of the summer.
Well, statistically speaking, good readers learn better. And it's a long time to go without any kind of educational stimulus. And this is a unique and entertainment opportunity for children and their families to keep that learning going, keeping that reading alive. Because if you start reading in your earlier years, you will be a lifelong reader. You will maintain through your teen years, and you will become an adult reader, an adult learner. And the more you can read, the easier it is to find a job, learn how to use a computer, and it opens up all sorts of possibilities.
The county's libraries are offering scores of special programs ranging from crafts and quilting to movies and magic shows. For children under 5, the libraries offer story time where children can enjoy songs, stories, and activities with their parents. So whether you're looking for fun, friends, or knowledge, Volusia County's public libraries are the cool place to be this summer. To see what programs are being offered at your local library, you can visit volusialibrary.org and click on the Branches section or the calendar. Traffic at Daytona Beach International Airport continues to increase. During April, the county-run airport recorded 54,313 incoming and outgoing passengers. That's an increase of 3%. For the 12 months ending April 30th, 584,473 passengers flew in and out of the airport. That's an increase of more than 3% from the prior 12-month period.
We had a good April. Our traffic went up 3% from last April, which was very encouraging. We actually had fewer seats in April this year than we did last year, but we had a higher load factor, so we had a 3% gain. Shows there's a lot of demand here at the Daytona Beach International Airport. So we're very encouraged by that, and hopefully those trends will keep moving on for the balance of the year.
For more information about the Daytona Beach International Airport, you can visit flydaytonafirst.com.
The County Council is committed to building trails because they improve your quality of life. Trails offer exercise, recreation, access to nature, and alternative transportation routes. They also bring families and friends together to enjoy the outdoors. People of all ages and abilities can enjoy our trails in Volusia County. Whether you're a walker, jogger, inline skater, or bicyclist, we have a trail for you. To learn more about Volusia County's trails, visit volusia.org/trails.
ESF 18 might not sound impressive, but it could be a local business's lifeline during a disaster. Let's join Business Beat Michelle Coates, reporter at the Volusia County Emergency Operations Center, to find out more about ESF 18.
I'm Michelle Coates with the Business Beat. ESF 18 may not sound impressive, but it could be a local business's lifeline during a disaster. We're here at the Emergency Operations Center to learn more about Volusia County's ESF 18 and the Volusia County Business Operations Center.
Emergency support functions, or ESFs, consolidate multiple agencies with similar functions into one unit for disaster response. The 18 ESFs represent the specific response activities common to all disasters, such as police, fire, utilities, public information shelters, and business and industry and economic stabilization. The Volusia County Emergency Management Department took that model a step further by adding a new service arm to its local ESF 18, a public-private business operations center. We spoke to Rick Moore with Volusia County Emergency Management to find out more about this unique business program.
The Business Operations Center is a coordination point for businesses. It's a place in which they can communicate with the county EOC, or they can also communicate business to business on their needs. The reason this is so important is because we've learned historically that following a disaster, you want to get the community back on its feet as quickly as possible. And that means getting businesses on their feet.
The Business Operations Center was developed through a cooperative effort between the Center for Business Excellence, the Greater Daytona Area Chamber, and Volusia County Emergency Management. The initiative has been implemented with the help from Volusia County Chamber Alliance, the Daytona Beach Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Hotel Motel Association, Volusia Manufacturers Association, and Colleges and Universities Disaster Assessment and Research Center.
The Business Operations Center is actually a part of our overall response, and it's activated at the request of the EOC. Once it's activated, it's staffed by the Center for Business Excellence. A company can call it, or a business or an individual organization can call them and say, hey, I have a need for widgets. And they can look in their database and find somebody who has those widgets in order to keep that business operational.
The Business Operations Center works to aid businesses with disaster preparedness planning, help businesses report partial and full closings during a disaster, provide a database of local resources, and establish a coordinating center for matching those resources with needs during disaster recovery.
Well, there really isn't any magic to signing up to be part of the Business Operations Center. All they have to do is call the Center for Business Excellence, and they can talk with the staff there to be put into the database where they enter what resources they have that others may use. Now, we're not talking about duplicating the yellow pages. These are things specifically that you would need following a disaster. For instance, refrigeration, generators, lights, things like that.
The local business community and chambers have fully endorsed the Business Operations Center. We spoke with George Mirabal, interim president and CEO of the Greater Daytona Area Chamber of Commerce, about the program and its benefits to our business community.
Well, the benefit is that when you have representation here at the EOC, the business community has input and can be the conduit for when there's going to be evacuations and as well as recovery.
As the hurricane season ramps up this year, businesses and families need to dust off their emergency plans. Put plans in place before the disaster hits, and your business will be stronger for it. Businesses are encouraged to add the Business Operations Center number 386-323-2106 to their emergency communication plan to report closures and to access the help needed to return to operation after a disaster.
Thanks for joining us today at the Volusia County Emergency Operations Center. I'm Michelle Coates with the Business Beat.
You can find out more about the Business Operations Center and the Volusia County Emergency Operations Center when you log on to volusia.org and select Emergency Management from the Services menu at the top of the screen. Let's check in with Health Matters correspondent Stephanie Strong for this report from the Volusia County Health Department.
Here we go.
The sound of tennis fills the air at Westside Elementary School in Daytona Beach with the addition of 4 newly constructed 36-foot tennis courts. This makes Westside Elementary School the first school in the state of Florida to feature permanent courts for all ages.
I'm excited for this day. It is a time to celebrate the achievements of everyone because let me tell you from the bottom of my heart, children, you know firsthand from me, but if you dream, and you dream big and reach for the stars with high expectations, do dreams come true? Yes!
What an exciting morning. I'm so glad that I'm able to join you. It is just incredible, all of the work that has taken place here at Westside Elementary to benefit our students, the school, and the community. It is so impressive that USTA has selected this school for the first permanent all-age tennis courts in the entire state of Florida.
United States Tennis Association, Florida Section Foundation, and USTA Florida are working with the school to start tennis programs and kids' tennis clubs. And students are currently participating in a membership challenge, encouraging each class to talk to kids and parents in the community about participating in USTA Florida tennis programs.
Our foundation, we have a charitable foundation, gave $3,000 toward the project. These courts are for the school and the community. They'll be used for a long time, forever, we hope. It'll impact children. Tennis will make you healthy, happy. It's another lifetime sport that we want you to have exposure to.
2 tennis pros were on hand to support this community effort to bring exercise and fun to the area.
Tennis has tremendous benefits to a human being's life. It's not about how good you become in the sport. It's about what it adds to your character and what it adds to your life.
Through the sport of tennis, we use tennis as a platform to get young people to focus more on their character, their conduct, being responsible young people, focus more on their education, and we do it through the sport of tennis.
According to USTA, youth who play tennis get better grades, have college aspirations, are better behaved, and are more community-minded and well-rounded. Youth are also healthier and less prone to risky behaviors. So let the games begin. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Stephanie Strong, Public Information Officer for the Florida Department of Health in Volusia County.
As always, if you have any questions about this or any other health-related issues, you can log on to volusiahealth.com. And now it's time to go into the studio to join Community Information Director Dave Byron and his guest, Votran General Manager Steve Sherrer.
Well, thank you, Amber, and hi, everyone. Votran, the county's public transit system, is facing an unprecedented demand for service. Ridership last year was up a record 6%, and the passenger demand so far this year continues on a record pace. This leaves the county transit system struggling to meet service needs while staying within its authorized budget. Votran funding is among the bigger fiscal challenges facing the Volusia County Council as the county manager prepares his recommended budget for the next fiscal year. Today, we'll try to put this into some perspective. We have with us in the studio today Votran's General Manager, Steve Sherrer. Steve, thank you very much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, before we get into some of the specifics of the budget challenges Votran and the county is facing, let's talk about Votran Public Transit in general. Give us kind of a description of the service.
Okay, Votran is the county-wide public transportation service. We actually operate service 7 days a week, and we operate fixed route service throughout the county. We also operate a door-to-door service called paratransit service that also operates 7 days a week across the county, and that service is for disabled folks who are unable to utilize the fixed route buses because of their disability.
You know, as I've come to learn in talking about Votran, as I've come to learn, really in Volusia County, the public transit system is really a service of need. It's, if you will, a social service because a great many of your riders really have no other options.
That's correct. Actually, about 75% of our customers earn less than $29,000 a year as a household.
Right.
So what that does is causes most of those folks to rely specifically on Votran as their only source of transportation.
For people, Steve, that don't follow the inner workings of county government, they don't follow how Votran is funded and that sort of thing. I think a lot of people think that, you know, fares, you know, pay for the cost to run the transit system, and that's hardly the case. Tell us how you're funded.
We're funded through a number of different sources. We receive a good portion of our budget directly from the county's general fund.
Right.
We're also funded through FTA, Federal Transit Administration grants.
Right.
We receive money from the Florida Department of Transportation, and we also generate revenue through fares,
right.
Passenger fares that we collect, through advertising, and so we're funded through a number of different sources, the majority of which, though, coming from the county and FTA and FDOT.
So currently, as I understand it, the taxpayers of Volusia County out of the county's general fund are currently contributing something like $7.5 million to Votran's overall budget. Is that about right?
That's about right, yep. The current year that we're operating in and the previous year, the operating subsidy was $7.4 million. Yeah.
Now, obviously, if the taxpayers of Volusia County are contributing $7.5 million, that means the system isn't self-liquidating. It's not paying for itself. Is that pretty typical, Steve?
That's very typical. It'd be almost impossible for customers to pay a fare that would allow us to recoup all the costs associated with operating the system.
Steve, you know, as we said at the opening here, you know, your ridership last year was up 6%. I mean, that in transit circles is a phenomenal increase, is it not?
It is, yeah. When you compare it to the national average, which is somewhere around 2% over the past year. When Votran saw just short of 6, it was actually 5.8% increase. That's you know, that's quite a bit larger than the national average.
If I'm not mistaken here, and my memory fails me a lot these days, but you're up year over year. I mean, you've had like 5-6 years of passenger traffic increases, have you not?
Yes, we have. Yeah, ridership has been on a steady increase over the past 5 or 6 years. And this year is no different. The months that we've completed so far have also shown increases, so we're expecting another year of steady increase.
Why do you think that is, Steve? I mean, what do you think? It's just the economic factors, or why do you think ridership is up so much?
Well, you know, Votran operates a safe, dependable service, so we certainly hope that folks utilize our services because of that.
Right.
But at the same time, with the economy in the condition that it has been over the past few years, we think that there is a direct relationship between a struggling economy and transit use.
Right.
More and more people are relieving themselves of the car payment and the insurance and the fluctuating cost of gasoline by getting around on public transportation.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the cost of motor fuel, because right now it's roughly, I guess, in Volusia County about $3.50 a gallon, maybe a little bit lower. We've seen kind of historically that when gas prices get to, $3.65, $3.70, $3.75 a gallon, that seems to be the price point in Volusia County where a lot of people park and start taking public transit. Is that your experience?
Yep, certainly as prices go up, more and more people decide that it might be worth it for me to become a choice rider.
Sure.
And park my car. Or some folks just really can't afford to fuel their car.
Right.
So there's definitely a relationship between the cost of gasoline and the choice to use public transportation.
Now, ridership being up almost 6%, Steve, is a good thing. I mean, a lot of people are riding public transit in Volusia County. I think overall something like 3.5 million or more.
Last year was about 3.6 million.
Right. And so that's obviously a lot of ridership, and it's a good thing that it's growing. But you reach a point, I think, as you have convinced me, that you reach a point where either you're going to have to put more buses on the road or the routes are going to become too crowded. I mean, what are the challenges that you're facing right now in terms of this rapidly growing passenger demand?
Some of the things that passengers are faced with on a daily basis are the routes become more and more difficult to maintain on-time performance.
Right.
When buses are constantly stopping to pick up and drop off more and more customers, it's more challenging to stay on time.
Right.
Other things like the bicycle racks. Each of our fixed route buses has a bicycle rack that holds 2 bicycles. Right. And a lot of times those bike racks are full.
Right.
So somebody may be waiting at a stop and they've got a bicycle and there's no place to put it.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that customers face. Lack of seating. A lot of the routes that we operate are operating at capacity, so that means people are standing up on the buses and don't have a seat.
And Steve, obviously if you're taking public transit to work or you're taking it to a doctor's appointment or that sort of thing, you got to get there on time. And if the buses are running off schedule because of too many passengers, that poses a potentially big problem for the riders.
Oh, it definitely does. Riders, like you said, either arrive at appointments or arrive at work late, possibly miss a transfer because their route's running behind. So those are some of the things that we work really hard to combat against.
Right.
But it does become more and more challenging as ridership increases and budgets become tighter.
Right. Well, speaking of budgets, the county manager is soon to make his recommended budget to the county council. I know you have been before the county council a couple of times in the last year or so, kind of giving the county council a general picture of how things are going at Votran and some of the challenges you're facing. Recently, the county council thought about a fare increase. They haven't made that decision, but that's one of the things that seems to be on the discussion table. Kind of put this into perspective for the county council. What challenges and what sorts of things are they going to have to consider as they go into the budget deliberations?
Well, going back to the fare increase that you mentioned,
right?
There was no decision made at this point to enact a fare increase, but a lot of times people ask, well, why do you need a fare increase when your ridership is up?
Right.
Well, unfortunately, the increase in revenues that we've seen since the last fare increase in 2007 has not kept up with the increase in operating expenses. Right. So that's one thing that council will need to consider, is whether or not to do a fare increase.
Right.
Now, other things, unfortunately, include the possibility of cutting some services or cutting routes to come up with that, to close that budget deficit.
Right.
We certainly hope that that's not the case and that's not the decision that's made, but council will have to consider some difficult choices on how to eliminate that deficit.
So where does all of this stand right now? I know the County Council's been discussing this. Where do we stand?
Well, like I said, the council has decided to put off a fare increase for the time being, but they have asked that we look to possibly do a presentation to the cities, all the cities in the county that we provide service to see if the cities would be open to considering helping to fund Votran. The majority of the customers that we carry on a daily basis reside or are going to destinations within the cities.
Right.
And so a council has asked that we work on setting up a presentation, inviting all the cities and letting them kind of get a better understanding of the services that we provide, the way that we're funded, and see if there's any interest in those cities helping to close that funding deficit that we have.
Meanwhile, you know, you can hear the train running down the track, Steve, almost. Sunrail service is going to start in about a year, and Volusia County, of course, has a station in DeBary. What does Sunrail mean for Votran? I mean, what's your connection with Sunrail?
Well, when Sunrail starts, Votran will be providing feeder bus service to the train station.
Right.
The exact format of that feeder bus service is yet to be determined. It'll be based strictly on the amount of funding that we receive from Florida Department of Transportation to provide that service. We're still in discussions today with FDOT on what that level of funding is.
Right.
But we're working from day to day to establish those routes and determine how they're going to operate. But as far as Votran's part in Sunrail, we're going to do everything that we can do to provide efficient feeder bus service to the station. That's going to be our role.
Well, Steve, for those folks that may want to get more information about Votran, maybe they want to try Votran service and so forth, how do people get more information?
Best way for people to get information about Votran is to visit our website, www.votran.org, and that'll get you route and schedule information. That'll get you contact telephone numbers. But the best place to start is our website.
And if there are groups or organizations out there, Steve, they're always looking for speakers for their meetings and so forth. Can Votran accommodate those requests?
Yep, we do everything we can to accommodate requests when people would like to have speakers.
Well, it sounds to me like there's going to be a lot more discussion about Votran as we move forward toward the adoption of the next fiscal year budget. So thanks for sharing the information with us today.
Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Our guest today is Steve Sherrer. He's the General Manager of Votran Public Transportation. And with that, Amber, we'll go back to you.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, too, for watching Volusia Magazine. If you have any questions about the show, feel free to give us a call at any of the numbers you see listed here, or you can log on to volusia.org. You can also watch the show online at volusia.org. And incidentally, you can find the County Council meeting calendar there, too. You can use volusia.org to find out about meeting dates, workshops, topics of interest, activities, and how you can become involved. In fact, there's an activity coming up you might be interested in. It's called Find Your Family, and it will be at the Ormond Library on Monday, June 24th at 10 a.m. You'll learn about genealogy databases from librarian Kim Dolce. For more information, please call the library at 386-676-4191, extension 100, or you can just go to volusialibrary.org. And we hope you won't forget to listen to Volusia Today, Volusia County Government's public information radio broadcast. Volusia Today airs every Tuesday and Sunday mornings on the local radio stations you see on your screen. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Amber Patterson. Have a wonderful evening.